Sometimes God has to break a man before he can bless him. Brother, there comes a moment in every man's life when the mask cracks. The version of you that you built with your own hands, the confident, controlled, unstoppable version, begins to crumble. And you stand there staring at your own reflection, wondering how you got here. That moment is not the end of you. It's the beginning of truth. See, we grow up believing strength means never bending, never crying, never showing weakness. We build walls high enough to hide behind, thinking that if nobody sees the cracks, maybe even God won't notice how tired we are. But he notices. He always notices, because God doesn't just look at the man you show the world. He looks at the one you hide. The one who's exhausted, the one who smiles but feels hollow, the one who keeps saying, "I'm fine," while everything inside him is falling apart. And brother, when God loves a man too much to leave him that way, he breaks him, not to destroy him, but to rebuild him. We think the breaking is failure, but in heaven's eyes it's surgery. God cuts away the pride, the lies, the illusions. He breaks the grip of ego so that grace can finally enter the places you've kept locked. When life starts falling apart, it isn't random. Sometimes God has to let you lose what you think you need, so you can discover what you truly can't live without. That's why the breaking hurts. It's not because he's angry. It's because he's removing everything that was never meant to carry your name. I've seen men lose jobs, lose marriages, lose everything they thought defined them. And still, in that darkness they found light. Because once the noise was gone, they finally heard God whisper, "Now I can build you." Brother, maybe that's where you are right now. Maybe you're in that middle place between who you were and who you're meant to be. Everything feels uncertain. Every prayer feels unanswered. But listen to me, God is not ignoring you. He's shaping you. The storm isn't punishment, it's process. The silence isn't rejection, it's recalibration. The breaking isn't the end, it's the blueprint. You see, a seed has to break before it can grow. A bone has to reset before it can heal. A man has to fall before he can finally kneel. God never wastes pain. Every tear, every night you couldn't sleep, every moment you thought he'd forgotten you, he was right there, chiseling your character, forging your faith, preparing your purpose. Because the truth is this, you can't carry the weight of destiny with hands still full of ego. You can't lead others while you're still trying to prove something to yourself. You can't receive peace while you're still clinging to control. So God allows the breaking and to teach you surrender. Not as defeat, but as deliverance. Brother, when everything starts falling apart, ask yourself, what if this isn't punishment? What if this is preparation? Because when God breaks you, he's not taking something from you. He's making room for something greater. He's not shaming you. He's shaping you. He's not ending your story. He's editing it for glory. And when the breaking is done, when the dust settles and you look back, you'll realize that the very thing you thought would destroy, you became the reason you finally discovered who you are. So if you're in the breaking right now, don't run. Stay still. Let him work. Let him break what needs to break so he can build what will last. Because what God builds after he breaks you cannot be shaken. Hold on, brother. The breaking isn't forever. It's just the doorway to becoming. God's breaking is not rejection. It's redirection. Brother, once the breaking begins, it doesn't stop in a moment. It's not a single day, a single prayer, or a single tear. It's a process, slow, quiet, deliberate. The kind that strips you of everything fake until only the truth remains. The process hurts because it exposes. It forces you to face what you've been running from. Your fear, your pride, your dependence on the wrong things. You start realizing that much of what you called strength was just survival. And survival isn't the same as peace. When God begins to rebuild a man, he doesn't start from what's left of your confidence. He starts from what's left of your surrender. That's where he does his best work. Not when you're holding everything together, but when your hands are finally open. Maybe that's why he lets certain things collapse, so that your heart has no choice but to let go. Because the truth is, some blessings are too heavy for the hands still clinging to control. Brother, God breaks a man in layers. First, he shatters the illusion that you can do it all on your own. Then, he breaks the idea that success will save you. And finally, he breaks the lie that being in control means being safe. That's when the real rebuilding starts. You might be asking, why does it have to be this hard? Because real strength doesn't come from ease. It comes from endurance, and God doesn't want to build you into a man who looks strong. He wants to make you a man who is unshakable. Every time you cry, he's collecting those tears. Every time you question, he's rewriting your faith. Every time you lose, he's removing what was never yours to keep. It's a holy kind of pain, one that purifies instead of punishes. And in the middle of it, you'll notice something strange. The noise starts to fade, the chaos quiets down, And in that silence, you begin to sense his presence again. He's there, not fixing everything yet, but forming something new inside you. Patience, humility, wisdom, faith that doesn't depend on answers. That's the kind of man God is building in you. You might not see it yet, but your breaking is becoming your blessing. It's teaching you how to pray without words, how to trust without proof, and how to stand even when everything in you wants to fall. Because when you reach the end of yourself, that's where God finally begins. And one day when you look back, you'll realize that every broken piece had a purpose. Every sleepless night, every unanswered prayer, every time you thought you couldn't take one more step, all of it was molding you into the man who can now say, "I'm not who I was, and thank God for that." So if you're in the middle of the process right now, and stay in the breaking, stay in the lesson, stay in the fire until it refines you. Because the man God is building inside you is far stronger than the one you're mourning. The process isn't punishment, it's preparation. And brother, when God is done, you won't just be healed, you'll be holy. Before God builds you, he'll quiet everything that distracts you. Brother, between breaking and building, there's silence, and that silence can be the hardest part. Because after the storm, after the loss, after everything falls apart, there comes a strange stillness. No noise, no answers, no visible sign that anything is changing. Just silence. It's in that space that most men give up. They mistake God's quiet for absence. They start thinking, maybe he's done with me. Maybe I missed my chance, but that's not what silence means. Silence means he's working beneath the surface. When a seed is buried in the ground, it doesn't make a sound while it's growing. The roots form quietly, hidden from sight, preparing for what's to come. That's what God is doing in you. He's not ignoring you, he's grounding you, he's not done, he's developing you. The silence is sacred. It's the place where faith matures. Because faith isn't proven when everything makes sense. It's proven when nothing does. And you still believe, brother, in the silence. You'll learn to stop chasing voices and start listening to truth. You'll stop praying just to be heard and start praying to understand. You'll realize that sometimes God removes everything familiar not to punish you, but to prepare you to stand on your own feet, guided only by his word. That's why the silence feels lonely. Because God is removing the noise that used to numb you. The habits. The people. The distractions. All the things that kept you busy but never made you better. And in that emptiness, something holy happens. You start to hear your own heart again. You start to notice where you've been bleeding silently. You start to confront the wounds you've ignored for years. God does that intentionally. He slows you down so you can finally face what needs healing. The man he's creating in you cannot be built on unresolved pain. You can't lead with bitterness and expect to bring peace. You can't carry resentment and call it strength. So he uses the silence to teach you peace. He teaches you to sit in it, not fear it, to breathe through it, not break under it, to trust that stillness doesn't mean the end. It means a new beginning is forming beneath the surface. Brother, this quiet season isn't a punishment. It's God pulling you closer. He's teaching you how to recognize his whisper when the world stops shouting. Because when you can hear him in the silence, you'll never be lost in the noise again. Don't rush this part. Don't try to escape it with distractions or quick fixes. Let the silence do its work. Because silence refines you, it teaches you patience. It prepares your spirit for the strength that's coming. Next, the same silence that once scared you will soon become your sanctuary. Because that's where you'll realize that peace isn't the absence of sound, it's the presence of God. Brother, hold your ground in the quiet. Something holy is happening in you, even if you can't see it yet. The silence is not empty. It's sacred construction. It's heaven's workshop. And when the time is right, that silence will end not with noise, but with clarity, not with confusion, but with calling, not with weakness, but with wisdom. Stay still, stay faithful, stay ready, because in the silence between breaking and building, God is writing your new beginning. Faith that isn't tested can't be trusted. Brother, there comes a moment after silence when the heat turns up. You think the breaking was over, but now you're standing in the fire. The testing. The part where faith stops being a word and becomes a weapon. Because here's the truth. God doesn't test you to see if you'll fail. He tests you to show you that you've already been forged. The fire is proof you're ready for something greater. But it doesn't feel like that when you're in it, does it? When every plan burns to ashes. When every door slams shut. When you cry out and heaven feels deaf. You start asking, God, if you love me, why this? And his answer isn't always an explanation, it's endurance. He doesn't remove the fire. He refines you through it. See, faith isn't built in comfort. It's revealed in crisis. It's easy to say, I trust you when the path is clear, but real faith whispers, I still trust you when everything goes dark. Maybe you're in that fire right now. Maybe you're walking through betrayal, loss, failure, confusion. Don't mistake the flames for abandonment. They're the evidence of transformation. Because gold is only proven by heat. And brother, you are being purified, not punished. Every man who's walked with God has faced a furnace moment. Abraham had to raise the knife. Moses had to face the sea. David had to run from his own kingdom. Jesus had to carry the cross. None of them escaped the fire. They walked through it. And every single one came out different. Not perfect, not unscarred, but purified. That's what God is doing in you. He's burning away the doubt that says you're alone. He's burning off the fear that says you're finished. He's melting down your pride so that purpose can rise in its place. And here's what you need to hear. The fire doesn't last forever. It has an assignment. It's not meant to consume you. It's meant to consume what can't come with you, because the version of you that's stepping into the next season can't carry the same weight as the one who walked into the flames. You'll come out lighter, clearer, stronger. And when people look at you, they'll see something they can't explain. Peace in pain, purpose in pressure, and light that can't be put out. That's what fire-forged faith looks like. Brother, I won't lie to you. The fire hurts. You'll lose people. You'll lose plans. You'll lose the life you thought you wanted, but you'll gain something greater. The man you were meant to be. And one day, when you stand on the other side of this test, you'll look back and thank God for every flame, because now you'll know. Faith isn't believing God can. Faith is knowing He will, even if it takes the fire to get there. So don't fear it. Don't run from it. Walk through it with your head high and your heart open. Because when faith feels like fire, that's when it's becoming real. When the fire is finished, what remains is real. Brother, the fire doesn't last forever. When the flames finally die down and the smoke begins to clear, what's left is not who you were. It's who you were meant to be. The breaking stripped you down. The silence tested your patience. The fire proved your faith. Now comes the rebuilding. Slow, deliberate, holy. God never rebuilds a man on the ashes of pride. He rebuilds him on the foundation of purpose. That's why He took you through the breaking, so He could remove what couldn't stand the weight of your destiny. Now you begin to notice something changing inside. Your priorities shift. Your prayers deepen. Your peace no longer depends on circumstances. It's anchored in trust. You start realizing that strength isn't about control anymore. It's about surrender. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? Brother, this is where you start to rebuild. Not by returning to who you were, but by becoming who God intended you to be all along. And rebuilding doesn't mean rushing. It means resting. It means letting God lay every new brick with care, patience, integrity, compassion, wisdom. These become the structure of the new man. You start forgiving faster. You start judging less. You start listening more. Because when you've walked through fire, you lose interest in fake things. You no longer chase attention. You crave authenticity. You no longer seek noise. You value peace. The man who's been through breaking knows what truly matters. Character over comfort, faith over fear, purpose over popularity. And you begin to see that even the pain had purpose, that every loss had a lesson, that every silence had strength hidden within it. That's when gratitude appears, quiet but steady. You thank God not just for what He gave, but for what He took away. You thank Him not just for open doors, but for the ones He closed to protect you. Brother, rebuilding is not glamorous. It's sacred. It happens in private, in prayer, in patience. While the world moves on, God moves in. He restores your confidence, not the prideful kind that shouts, but the peaceful kind that stands firm. He renews your mind, teaching you to think with faith, not fear. He redefines your heart, teaching you to love without conditions. And slowly, day by day, you start to see it. The man in the mirror looks different. Not perfect, but peaceful. Not untouchable, but unshakable. Because now, your foundation isn't built on what you can control. It's built on what you can trust. Brother, when God rebuilds you, you carry a new kind of strength. One that doesn't need to prove itself. Your silence becomes wisdom. Your scars become testimony. Your story becomes strength for someone else still in the fire. This is the beauty of the rebuilding. You become evidence that God doesn't just restore what was lost. He resurrects what was meant to live. So walk boldly, but walk humbly, because the same God who broke you in love is the one who now builds you in grace. And this time, brother, you won't collapse when life shakes, because what's built on faith can't fall. When the breaking ends, the building begins, and purpose walks back in. Brother, this is the moment. The final stretch. The place where silence, fire and faith collide, and out of the ashes rises clarity. You've been through the silence that stripped your pride. You've stood in the fire that purified your faith. Now you walk in, the calm that confirms your purpose, you see. When a man comes through the breaking and still stands, God can finally trust him with more, because strength without humility is dangerous. But humility with faith, that's unstoppable. This is what the whole journey was for. Not to destroy you, but to define you. And now, brother, it's time to move. Not in fear, not in anger, but in alignment. The purpose that once felt distant is now woven into your every breath. You don't chase it anymore. You carry it, because you've learned that purpose isn't a destination. It's a direction. It's the way you walk when you know who holds your tomorrow. And when you walk with God, every step becomes sacred. Every word carries weight. Every decision reflects heaven, brother. Your silence taught you patience. Your fire taught you endurance. Your faith taught you trust. Now comes the mission, to live with conviction. You'll speak, not to be heard, but to heal. You'll love, not to be loved, but because you know love himself. You'll serve, not for recognition, but because purpose is born in obedience. The world may still misunderstand you. Some may call your calmness weakness, but you'll smile, Mo, because you know the truth. Peace is the loudest power. You've stopped proving, started living, stopped chasing, started choosing, stopped doubting, started believing. That's what a man reborn looks like. Not perfect but purposeful, not loud but led, not proud but powerful in presence. Brother, this is where your story turns into someone else's survival guide. The strength you found in silence will speak through your life. The peace you gained in the fire will comfort those still burning, and the purpose you walk in will pull others toward their own. So walk forward, slow, steady, strong, because God isn't finished with you. He's only just begun. And when people look at you now, they won't see the man who was broken. They'll see the man God rebuilt, piece by piece, prayer by prayer, purpose by purpose. The silence made you stronger. The fire made you faithful. The rebuilding made you ready. Now rise. The world needs the man you've become. Epilogue. The man who walked through fire. When you've walked through fire and still praise, that's when heaven calls you refined. Brother, this isn't the end. It's the revelation. The moment you realize that everything you lost was leading you here. Every heartbreak, every silence, every unanswered prayer, all of it was a chapter in your becoming. You thought God was breaking you down, but he was breaking you open. You thought he was withholding your future, but he was preparing your foundation. You thought he was silent, but he was speaking through the stillness, teaching you to listen, not just to hear. You're not who you were before the fire. You're stronger, wiser, quieter, not silent from fear, but peaceful from faith. You no longer beg for validation. You carry assurance. You no longer chase recognition. You walk in purpose. You no longer fear endings. You trust beginnings. Brother, when God brings a man through fire, he doesn't send him back to comfort. He sends him into calling. He doesn't rebuild him for applause. He rebuilds him for assignment. That's what you are now, assigned. Not just to exist, but to lead, to love, to lift others from the same ashes you once sat in. And when people ask how you survived, you'll smile and say, it wasn't me and it was grace. Because now you understand grace isn't just mercy, it's power. The power that carried you through when your strength ran out. The power that rebuilt your confidence when everything else crumbled. The power that turned your silence into a sermon. So, walk humbly, brother. Speak truthfully. Love deeply. And never forget the sound of silence that shaped your soul. Because somewhere out there, another man is sitting in his own fire, wondering if he'll ever rise again. And your story might be the spark that reminds him he can. You see, God doesn't waste pain. He doesn't waste silence. He doesn't waste tears. He turns them into testimonies that heal nations one heart at a time. So this is your calling. To walk with the peace you've earned. To lead with the faith you've learned. To live with the purpose you've discovered. And when the world looks at you and sees strength, humility and calm, they'll know. That's what a man looks like when he's walked through fire and found God in the flames. The fire didn't destroy him. It defined him. Epilogue. The man who walked through fire. Conclusion. The fire didn't destroy him. It defined him. And brother, that's the truth the world needs to hear, and not another story of success, but a story of surrender. Not a tale about how strong a man can be, but about how faithful God always is. You came through the valley of shadows, and now you stand in light. You carry peace where pain once lived. You speak life where silence once held you captive. And this, my brother, is the full circle of grace. When the man who once fell becomes the man who helps others rise. So wherever you go, carry this fire with humility. Let your scars remind you. You are proof that broken things can still bring beauty. Let your silence remind you. God speaks loudest when the world goes quiet. And let your journey remind you. The man who trusts God in fire becomes unshakable in life. Because in the end, it was never about avoiding pain. It was about discovering purpose in the middle of it. It was never about staying strong. It was about learning to lean on the one who never fails. So keep walking. Brother, steady, grounded, grateful, because when you walk with purpose, even your shadow carries light, and one day, when someone looks at your life and asks, "How did you make it?" you'll smile, look to heaven and say, "The fire didn't destroy me. It revealed who I really was." That's the man God made you to be, refined, renewed, and ready.